Just finished another workout, had a pretty good exercise. You know how I do. I'll be just getting it in. Really good workout just now. But listen, guys, I want to talk about personally being responsible for your actions, accountability, holding yourself accountable for your own actions, and not trying to escape the internal or conscience, the conscience of what you've done, right? Don't try to escape it. Don't try to go, hang out with your friends so that you can forget about what you just did wrong. Don't try to go have a drink so you could drink it away, or find some kind of pleasure to not feel the sting of what you just done. It's a good thing to feel the guilt of what you just done. It's a good thing to feel the consequence of what you just done, because in so doing, you are subconsciously training yourself not to do these things again, because we are creatures of iteration, meaning we repeat our behavior. That's why detectives, when they want to catch somebody, they study what's called their MO, because modus operandi, because they know people behave in patterns. So sometimes holding yourself accountable for your actions will actually the consequence, the sting of what you just done, if you sit on that and let that actually marinate, let it gestate, it will actually plant itself in your subconscious. It will imbibe itself in your subconscious, and it will mold you and prevent you from making the same mistakes again. A lot of times we'll take responsibility, and then we'll use that infamous or famous word, but. It's a coordinating conjunction in terms of its grammatical syntax, and it simply means contrary to what preceded it. So if you say but, what you're really doing is excusing. If you said, I take responsibility, but, everything that comes after the but is excusing away you taking responsibility. That's not really taking responsibility. That's called hedging your bets. So you're not taking responsibility. Or if you do the infamous however, right? However, but, all these different grammatical words, they mean the same thing pretty much, right? So look, it was my fault, notwithstanding this. No, don't do that. Take responsibility, and that's it, period. And that annoying little self-talk, I call it self-talk, the voice in your head, the noise in your head, your own thinking, that's telling you, wait a minute, you can't take, no, this is not, look, overcome that. Overcome that. The reality is you have to take responsibility for your own actions. Look, folks, there are too many of us in prison because we make excuses. There's too many of us in the morgues and the graveyard are over capacity. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is too much of us dying out here. And look, here's what I tell people. I don't want nobody writing letters to Congress for me to change gun reform. I don't want nobody writing letters to Congress for me for prison reform. First of all, nobody's doing that for me. I'm not famous. I'm not like some rich person that everybody, I'm not a celebrity. Nobody knows me. I'll be lucky if I get one person to cry for me. You get what I'm saying? So the reality is, like, I don't want nobody marching and saying how unfair that was, that whatever it has happened to me, how unfair that was. That shouldn't have happened. Because here's the reality. I'm dead. I'm gone. Or I'm doing 25 to life or whatever. It's not going to change anything, folks. Evolution, I've been studying evolution heavy. I've been into this thing heavy. And intelligence in terms of not Webster or Oxford or any one of the standard dictionaries, but evolution in terms of, intelligence in terms of evolution is a species capacity or ability to sense danger or changing environments or conditions and adapt to those changing environments and or conditions and survive. That's the definition of intelligence in terms of evolution. So folks, we have to understand this and understand as well. Solomon says in Ecclesiastics, and I'm going to paraphrase, you can add years to your life and you can take years off of your life. This is in Ecclesiastics. I paraphrased it. And what Solomon is really saying is your lifestyle can either extend your lifespan or it can lessen your lifespan. Example, if I make a conscious choice, a decision to smoke cigarettes 15, 20 years in, guess what? I might end up with lung cancer and end up dying. you know, as a result. Or if I decide to drink alcohol and 10 years in, I could find out my kidneys are failing, right? And therefore, the osmotic process, which is what the kidneys use to filter the blood of toxins, is no longer working. Here I am now, about to die because of my kidneys. So what I'm saying is, I would, you know, if I decide to drink a lot of green juice and kale and spinach and eat healthy, and I could add years to my life, right? Barring I get hit by a bus or some, you know, accident out on the street. But you get my gist. You get the gist of what I'm saying. So, folks, my thing is, when you out here in these streets, look, I was talking to my lady, and I tell people, listen, you have to be mindful. You cannot dictate or control how the universe responds to your actions. I'm going to say that again. You cannot dictate, you cannot control how the universe is going to react to your actions. So sometimes you out here in these streets, you got to think. You got to really think. Like I said, a chameleon. Good example. A chameleon senses imminent danger and changes its color to match the environment. Let's say it's in a brown environment. And if there's a predator and the chameleon senses the predator, and there, let's say, other preys in the area, the chameleon changes its color. Let's say it's in a desert. It'll change its color to match the color of the desert. And then the predator will have a difficult time seeing it. But guess what? The other animals, the other preys, don't change their color. They stay the same. So guess what? If they're green on a brown backdrop, they're going to stand out. So who you think the predator is going to go after? It's going to go after the green animal instead of the chameleon that turned itself brown so that it can't be seen. So what I'm saying is, we have to use every intellectual wit, every intellectual and every wit, every faculty at our disposal. Whatever intellectual faculties and wits that we have to employ every bit of that at everything we have at our disposal, intellectually, and wits and faculties and cognitive thinking. We have to employ that. We have to employ that. Every bit of it that you have at your disposal, you have to employ that, because the name of the game in terms of evolution is a species' ability to survive and pass on its alleles. That's the definition of intelligence. Your ability to survive and pass on your alleles, which are your genes. So, folks, don't be the victim. And there's no glory in being a victim. And, you know, if God forbid you're locked up 15, 20 years, your woman is going with somebody else, fellas. I'm just telling you I'm telling you facts. I've seen it. I've seen it. Your woman is off with the next dude. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is, life is going to go on without you. That's just facts, right? You dead, everybody cry for a day or two, and then they go on with their lives. Guess what? You still dead. So don't make your decisions to survive. Don't make your decisions based off of what your girlfriend is telling you, your boyfriend is telling you, this friend is telling you, that friend is telling you. Listen, not everybody employ intelligence and wisdom in their decisions. Not everybody think things out through thoroughly when they're making the decisions. So think and understand, we all gonna die. We all gonna transition. There's no such thing as death, right? Conservation of energy. Energy just changes forms, shapes, take different forms and different shapes. That's all we are. Energy manifested in different proteins and amino acids. So there's no such thing as death. We just transition. We like water. Water gets hot, it turns to gas, and it goes into the universe. I don't know where we go, but I know we just transition. So, but what I'm saying to you is this. The reality is, the time you've been allotted here, make the most of it, okay? Spend it wisely. Make it as productive as you possibly can. Do not fall into the psychological victimhood or the psychological anger. Oh, I got to act out. I got to do this. Oh, he did. When you look, nothing is going to change. Nobody is going to, anything happens to you out here in these streets, nobody is going to stop living their lives for you. Nobody. The world is indifferent to your well-being. That's a fact. If you haven't learned that yet, I hope you're very young, so you have time. And if you're very old and you haven't learned that yet, there's a problem. There's a problem. There's a lot of development and growth that needs to be done. The world is indifferent to whether you are here or not. Because believe me, folks, at the end of the day, all you have is yourself, and only you can protect you. So let your intellect be your first line of defense. Let your intelligence be your first line of defense, folks. Till next time, y'all know what I'm going to be doing, cooking these books with a whole new meaning.